Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're diving headfirst into, well, just a whirlwind of tech news. Everything from a massive legal shakeup in the AI world, some exciting new gadgets probably coming your way, to, critical conversations about online privacy and even the future of work. Get ready for some surprising facts and maybe a few aha moments, because we've definitely got a lot to unpack. So let's kick things off with some honestly jaw-dropping news from the AI landscape. Anthropic, a huge name in AI, has just agreed to pay, get this, at least $1.5 billion, plus interest, to authors in a class action lawsuit.
Yeah, it's a staggering number.
It really is. And it's not just big. Legal folks are apparently calling this the largest publicly reported recovery in U.S. copyright litigation history.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking like roughly $3,000 per book or work for maybe 500,000 works. That feels significant, right?
Oh, it's absolutely monumental. And what's really fascinating here is the scale, but also the why. Anthropic was accused by these authors, Andrea Bartz, Charles Graeber, Kirk Wallace Johnson, of basically using hundreds of thousands of copyrighted books to train their AI.
Right.
Without asking.
Right, without permission.
Exactly. And the settlement is really specific about this. It covers these past actions. Critically, it does not give Anthropic a license to use copywriting stuff for future training.
Okay, so no future use allowed under this deal.
Nope. And they also have to destroy the original files they used for that training.
Wow.
Yeah. And this whole thing is happening, during a really dynamic period. We're seeing tons of lawsuits pop up against AI companies. Reddit suing Anthropic, Universal Music is too. But at the same time, you also see AI firms trying to partner up with content creators. So it's a really complex legal scene right now. It's evolving fast.
So it's like, on one side, Anthropic's legal counsel, Parna Sridhar, she's saying, hey, a court found our training was fair use.
Right. That's their position.
But then this massive settlement is happening anyway to deal with these remaining legacy claims. It feels like a real push and pull, doesn't it? Like the rules for AI and copyright are being hammered out right now in real time.
Exactly. And speaking of, what's real versus maybe not so real online, we should probably talk about the dead internet theory.
Oh, yeah.
This idea, it's kind of intriguing, suggests that more and more of what you see online isn't actually made by humans anymore. It's machine generated.
Okay, this theory genuinely gives me the creeps a little. I remember Elon Musk talking about bots on X, back when it was Twitter. And wasn't it Sam Altman from OpenAI who recently said he noticed a lot of LLM-run Twitter accounts, LLM being a large language model, the tech behind ChatGPT and stuff?
Yeah, he did.
It really makes you wonder, like, how much of your feed is actual human thought versus just algorithms churning out content?
It really does. It hits at the core of, the authenticity of our online world. And this often gets tied to this term AI slop. Basically, low-quality, sometimes manipulative AI stuff, like, those generic image memes, cheap AI videos that just flood social media feeds.
Right, you see them everywhere.
But the worry goes beyond just, like, bad content. Bots are used for misinformation, for cybercrime. And there's even this weird, unsettling thought experiment. What if students use ChatGPT for homework, which is assigned by teachers who use ChatGPT to create the assignment, and then it's graded by ChatGPT?
Oh.
It's like a whole loop of artificiality.
Yeah, that's mind-bending. A totally automated school system almost. And that actually leads perfectly into another big AI issue, hallucinations. Yeah. When AI just makes stuff up. Can you break that down? What exactly are AI hallucinations? And maybe share some of those alarming examples we've heard about.
Sure. So AI hallucinations happen when these models spit out information that sounds totally plausible, totally confident, but it's actually false or misleading,
right,
or just completely made up.
Okay.
And we've seen some really worrying examples, stuff that goes way beyond a simple mistake. Like ChatGPT apparently told someone to use sodium bromide instead of table salt.
Right.
They ended up in the hospital.
Oh, my God.
Google Gemini generated historically wrong images, like black individuals depicted as Nazis, or suggested mixing glue into pizza sauce, or even eating rocks for minerals.
Eating rocks. Okay, that's wild, but also seriously dangerous if someone actually believed it.
Exactly. These aren't just funny glitches. They can have real consequences for you.
Yeah, definitely. So why does AI do that? It sounds so sure of itself, even when it's completely off the rails. What's going on technically?
Well, the core reason is that AI models are basically prediction engines. They're not truth engines.
Prediction engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
They work by predicting the most likely next word, or image pixel, based on all the data they were trained on. They're designed to sound conversational, to, please you with an answer, which means they'll often confidently generate wrong answers, especially if their training data was incomplete or biased, or if you ask them something outside their knowledge.
Oh, okay.
So experts really stress this. Always assume there could be errors, especially for important stuff, legal advice, financial, health stuff. You just can't take it as gospel. Remember, prediction engines, not truth engines.
That's a really powerful and honestly crucial distinction for all of us using these tools. Really changes how you should approach them. Okay, let's pivot a bit to something that affects, well, pretty much everyone, the future of work. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder, said AI is going to reshape every industry and every job. And Pew Research found like a third of working Americans feel overwhelmed by AI's impact on jobs. That's a lot of anxiety floating around.
It absolutely is. But, it's maybe more about evolution than just outright replacement for everyone. Career coach Jasmine Escalera talks about AI-proof careers. These are jobs needing that unique human touch AI just can't copy.
Like what?
Think plumbers, marriage counselors, nurses, sales roles that rely heavily on building relationships, jobs where empathy, complex problem-solving in messy situations, and genuine human connection are key.
Okay, so jobs needing empathy, human connection, hands-on problem solving, those seem relatively safer. What about the jobs that are more vulnerable?
Yeah, on the flip side, tasks that are highly repetitive, automated, or heavily data-driven, those are definitely more at risk. We're talking roles like cashiers, certain customer service jobs, maybe even gig economy work like Uber or DoorDash driving, which, remember, provides extra income for a huge chunk of Americans, over 70%.
Right, that's a massive impact.
And to tackle this head-on, OpenAI is actually launching something, an AI-powered jobs platform in 2026 and a big certification program, OpenAI certifications through their OpenAI Academy.
That sounds like a really proactive, maybe even necessary step. What's the big goal with these certifications?
The goal is huge. Certify 10 million Americans by 2030 in everything from just basic AI literacy up to advanced prompt engineering.
10 million, wow.
Yeah. And they're partnering with big companies, Walmart, Accenture, and state programs too. It's a big push towards what they're calling skills-first hiring, focusing on what you can actually do with AI.
That's a lot about AI and adults, but what about kids? We hear warnings about the internet all the time, but specifically AI chatbots. I heard something concerning about Google Gemini.
Yeah, this is a really critical point. Common Sense Media put out a report saying Google Gemini poses a high risk for kids and teens, even the special under 13 and teen experience versions.
Well, high risk, even with filters.
Apparently, yes. The study found filters weren't catching everything, kids were still seeing inappropriate stuff. And the AI wasn't good at recognizing serious mental health symptoms, sometimes sharing content about sex, drugs, alcohol, or even giving unsafe mental health advice. It's definitely worrying.
That is quite alarming. So what are the experts saying parents should do? How do you navigate this?
The advice is pretty clear and cautious. Basically, no chat bots for kids under 5. For ages 6 to 12, really close supervision. And for teens, set clear limits on content and usage. It's a call for parents to be really involved, recognizing these tools just aren't safe yet for kids on their own.
Okay, good advice. Let's move from the digital mindscape to stuff you can actually hold gadgets. Apple's got their event coming up Tuesday, September 9th. Everyone's buzzing about the rumored iPhone 17 Air, supposedly the thinnest iPhone ever.
Yeah, 5.5 millimeters is the rumor.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly thin, like even thinner than the current Galaxy S25 Edge.
Wow.
And some experts think this skinny iPhone could be a really radical design shift, maybe even setting the stage for foldable iPhones down the line.
Interesting. And it's also meant to have a better selfie camera, 24 megapixels and faster charging, 35 watts.
Those are the rumors, yeah. Faster power-ups, better selfies. And beyond the Air, the base iPhone 17 might finally get a 120 hertz display.
Finally. That means super smooth scrolling, right? Better gaming.
Exactly. A much more fluid experience. And all the 17 models should get Apple's new A19 or A19 Pro chips. These are built on a new 3-nanometer process, basically. Tiny transistors, meaning more power and better battery life for you. A big jump in speed and efficiency.
Okay, nice. But what about the big Siri AI upgrade everyone's waiting for? Not happening at this event.
Doesn't look like it. That seems more likely for next spring. Apple's reportedly still figuring things out, maybe even considering using Google's Gemini or tech from OpenAI or Anthropic to power a smarter Siri.
Interesting. And speaking of Google, what's new on their side? Pixel 10 lineup.
Yep, Google's coming out swinging with the Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro, and a Pixel 10 Pro XL. Big upgrades in specs and AI. They'll all run on the new Google Tensor G5 chip. That chip is specifically designed to power new AI features, like something called Magic Q.
Magic Q, what's that?
Imagine AI that kind of pulls data from your different Google apps, calendar, mail, search to give you timely info, almost predicting what you need.
Potentially useful. Or maybe a bit creepy.
Yeah, depends on your perspective, I guess.
And the cameras. Pixels are always known for great photos.
Definitely upgrades there, too. The standard Pixel 10 is apparently getting a 5x telephoto lens.
Oh, nice. Proper optical zoom on the base model.
Yeah, closes the gap with the Pro models a bit. Those Pros keep their impressive 50-megapixel main cameras and 8K video. Battery-wise, slightly bigger batteries all around. Support for Q2 wireless charging. That's the newer, faster standard. And the Pro XL gets 45W wired charging. Pretty quick.
Lots of cool phones coming.
Yeah.
But I always love the weird and wonderful stuff from shows like IFA. What quirky gadgets caught your eye this year?
Oh, yeah. IFA 2025 had some gems. There was the Lenovo ThinkBook Vertiflex concept. It's a laptop, right? But the screen rotates into portrait mode.
Wait, like vertical?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect for scrolling TikTok, reading long articles, or coding. Super practical, actually. Then there's the Lepro TB1 Pro AI Smart Table Lamp. It's futuristic, has mics built in, and an AI assistant called Light GPM for voice control. Like your lamp is an AI helper.
My lamp talking back to me. Okay. The one that really sounds wild, though, is the Yuhufi Mars Walker. A RoboVac stair lift.
You heard right. It's a robot with tank treads and little arms. It literally carries a robot vacuum up and down stairs, even curved ones.
That's insane, but I can see the appeal. No more carrying the vac yourself.
Exactly. And for the audio fans, Bose has new Quiet Comfort Ultra headphones, the second gen, updated noise-canceling USB-C audio finally, and a new cinema mode for clearer movie dialogue.
Pricey, though.
Yeah, $449. Probably got hit by those tariffs.
And then there was that Hasselblad camera. Serious piece of kit, right?
Oh, yeah, the Hasselblad X2D, the second 100C, we're talking $7,399. Medium format, huge 100-megapixel sensor, better autofocus, amazing image stabilization, 10 stops.
So for non-camera nerds, medium format means a bigger sensor, right? Better detail.
Much bigger. Incredible detail, color, dynamic range, and that stabilization means sharp shots even in low light. It's for pros who need the absolute best image quality. Truly top-tier stuff.
Okay, let's shift gears again. Bigger picture. Privacy, policy, platform changes. Big tech is always in court, it seems. Google had a big U.S. antitrust ruling recently.
That's right. Judge Ahmed Mehta ruled on Google's payments to Apple to be the default search engine. These payments are huge, estimated at like 15% of Apple's yearly profit.
Wow. And the judge let them continue.
Yeah, he argued that banning the payments would have crippling effects on Apple's innovation. So for you, the user, it means that Google-Apple partnership stays strong, potentially keeping Google search dominant.
That's fascinating, especially when you see tech CEOs like Google's Pichai, OpenAI's Altman meeting with political figures like former President Trump recently at that White House dinner. How do those political connections maybe play into these legal things or shape the environment?
Well, it's definitely part of the backdrop. While courts are technically independent, you can't ignore the constant interaction between tech leaders and politicians. They're always discussing investment, jobs, policy. These conversations, even if they don't directly sway a judge, absolutely shape the regulatory landscape and the public debate these companies operate in. It's why they invest so much in lobbying.
Right.
And it wasn't just the U.S. The EU also just fined Google $3.5 billion.
Another one. For what?
For abusing its dominance in ad tech. The EU says Google's practices hiked up costs for advertisers and publishers. Google says they'll appeal, of course.
Okay, shifting to personal data, the Oura Ring. Lots of people use those smart rings. They're expanding their partnership with the U.S. military, the DoD, and that's making some users nervous about privacy.
Yeah, there's definitely some user concern there. Aura CEO Tom Hale is very clear. He says individual customer data is totally separate from their enterprise data for the military. And their policy says they don't share data without consent.
Okay, that sounds reassuring, but...
But the company managing the security layer for Aura's military projects is Palantir.
Ah, Palantir. They have a reputation, right? Data mining, government contracts.
Exactly. So even if Aura's policy is solid, Palantir's involvement makes some people uneasy about where that military data might ultimately end up or how it could be used, even indirectly.
And Aura's already provided tens of thousands of rings to the military since 2019 for monitoring troop health.
Yeah, tracking vitals for fatigue, stress, early signs of illness.
So the takeaway is probably Aura says your personal data is safe, but it's a good reminder to always, read the privacy policy and think about where your health data is going, especially with wearables.
Definitely. Always worth checking. And speaking of security worries, there was an alarming study about VPNs, virtual private networks.
Yeah, lots of people use those for privacy. What's the issue?
Researchers found 18 popular VPNs, names like Turbo VPN, VPN Monster, Touch VPN, are actually connected through shared infrastructure with some serious security flaws that could potentially expose your browsing activity.
Wait, expose it, but that's the whole reason to use a VPN.
Exactly. It totally undermines the point.
That's really concerning. Is there more? Like, who owns these things?
Well, the study grouped them into families, and one family, 8 of those VPNs, is linked to a company called Kihu 360. And Kihu 360 is a firm the U.S. Department of Defense has actually identified as a Chinese military company.
Okay, wow. That adds a whole other layer of concern.
Absolutely. So the advice is pretty stark. Always try to know who owns your VPN. Check the privacy policy really carefully for any mention of data logging or sharing. Be super skeptical of free VPNs. Often, you're the product they're selling.
Right.
And if you happen to use one of those 18 specific VPNs listed in the study, the researchers basically say delete it immediately and maybe keep an eye out for identity theft. Actionable advice for you right now.
Definitely good practical advice. Scary stuff. Okay, let's talk about how things look and feel. Apple's got a new design language coming, liquid glass.
Yeah, it's rolling out across the next versions of iOS, macOS, iPadOS. The idea is to make software elements look layered, like actual translucent glass. They're aiming for a more natural, sort of immersive and consistent feel across all devices.
So what will that actually look like in practice?
You might see simplified controls, like in Safari, where the address bar kind of minimizes smoothly when you scroll, a cleaner camera app, beautiful translucent lock screens, maybe with spatial effects or full-screen music art that feels more integrated. It's about aesthetics, but also making things feel more intuitive.
Seems very Apple. Sleek.
Yeah.
But speaking of intuitive, one feature I keep wishing Apple had is Google's Circle to Search.
Oh, yeah.
On Android, you just circle or tap anything on screen and search it instantly. It's so seamless. Any chance we'll see something like that on iPhone, especially with them maybe using Google's Gemini tech for Siri eventually?
I'd love that. It's definitely a feature people point to as super intuitive. Who knows if Apple will build their own version or integrate something similar down the line. It sets a high bar. And speaking of bringing things back, Facebook is reviving the Poke.
No way, the Poke. Seriously, that's a blast from the past. Why? And who for?
Right. Total throwback.
Yeah.
Meta is actually reimagining it to try and gamify flirting and connections, specifically targeting Gen Z.
Gamify poking, okay.
They're adding things like poke counts, emoji badges, kind of like Snapchat streaks or TikTok stuff, and a central poke page so it's easier to find. Meta says they think younger users want easier ways to connect, and the poke is, quote, an effortless way to show your friends you're thinking about them.
Effortless, maybe. I don't know if I'm ready for the poke renaissance, but hey, maybe Gen Z will embrace it. Okay, and one last really useful tip before we wrap up. Windows 10 users, listen up. Microsoft's ending official support in October, but there's a way to get more time.
Yeah, if you want to stick with Windows 10 a bit longer, maybe you don't like Windows 11's AI focus, or your hardware's older, you can get another year of free extended security updates, the ESUs.
Free?
You just need to opt in before October 14th. It buys you another year of crucial security patches, which is great peace of mind.
That's super helpful for a lot of people. Okay, and that pretty much wraps up our bite-sized tech for today. Phew. From that huge Anthropic settlement changing the AI copyright game, to sleek new phones from Apple and Google, quirky robots climbing stairs, privacy warnings, and yes, even the return of the Facebook Poke, it's definitely clear tech is not slowing down. What stood out most to you from everything we covered? Is there a tech trend you're particularly excited about or maybe a bit concerned about? We always love hearing your thoughts. Thanks so much for tuning into Bite-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, please like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe for more fun tech discussions.